Truly awful. The wind blew across the empty fields as the cloaked figures set up dozens of tents. The townsfolk gathered round to see what was happening. A man in a top hat and a red tailcoat walked behind the crowd. He scared some of them when he began to speak. "I'm sorry, my friends, but I'm afraid the show is not quite ready yet. But trust me, it's one that cannot be missed." "Really? A circus? What a waste of money," a man from the crowd said. "Don't worry, my friends. Some of the games and attractions are going to cost you, but the main show is always free. You simply just need to decide how much your time is worth." The crowd murmured amongst themselves. The man in the top hat smiled. "Excellent, my friends. I hope to see you real soon." And with that, he returned and helped the cloaked figures set up. A boy of 13 years old, named Peeves, chuckled to himself. He leaned to the crowd of miscreants. "This is going to be truly awful." Some hours later, when the sun went down, Peeves and his party were walking around the grounds, looking at all the weird and odd attractions. There were seats that spinned round and around in a circle, wolves that were bigger than humans, carrying people up and down wooden mountains. Something that was pulling someone up and then quickly dropping them down, and simple games galore. A girl of 8 was watching someone play a game where they needed to hit a old cat into the water. "What's wrong?" Peeves said. "Oh, I forgot. Your mother's too busy being a bit of a bed bunny for you to actually have some spending money." The girl cried and went off. "Now, my boy," the man in the top hat said, appearing out of nowhere. "Everyone is accepted here, except for the Truly Awful. Please be respectful on my grounds. We all want to have a nice, relaxing evening to cool the mind." He disappeared. Peeves saw him give an iron coin to the little girl and pointed to one of the big wolves. Peeves just rolled his eyes and hit the old cat over the water with a rock on the ground. He creeped around, occasionally taking part in games that he cheated to win. The cloak figures looked at him, studying him, but Peeves did not notice. A loud horn echoed throughout the grounds. "Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the grand show. Please make your way to the main auditorium, or miss out on something truly spectacular," the man in the top hat said. "More like truly awful," Peeves thought as he paid for a ticket to get a better seat. Sitting on the top row of the top bunk, he saw the man with the top hat pop out of nowhere on stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great privilege to be standing right in front of you today. For a finale, we have a retelling of a classic story. But let's build up to that first. Let me introduce you to Madame Daisy and her truly amazing talent of the wild beast." A well-dressed lady with a beard walked up to stage. "Oi, Your hair goes on top of your head, lady, Peeves said. Madame Daisy hid her face. The man in the top hat whispered something to her, which seemed to rejuvenate her confidence. She commanded a legion of lions to form, and even to stack up onto a pyramid and hop through multiple hoops. That was truly spectacular, but there's more to come, the man in the top hat said. We have a true masters of the air. Let me introduce you to Mr. Williams and Mr. Williams. He pointed to a conjoined twin, waving their hands. They quickly ascended and glided through the air, hopping from pole to pole. Peeves pulled out a slingshot from his pocket and flinged it at the twins. It hit them in the head and caused them to lose balance, nearly falling to the ground. I would like to remind the audience and a special little boy that we should be respectful to our performers. We really want something truly awful happening, the man in the top hat said, as the twins flipped in the air dozens of times. This pattern repeated itself multiple times as each performer would get up and Peeves would do something to distract them. An escape artist with two left hands was told he had no right to be up there by Peeves. A clown who Peeves repeatedly threw peanuts at, and the countless amounts of animal performers who Peeves would fling matches at. Finally was the last performance before the play. It was the Top Hat Man performing several magic tricks, like allowing an old woman to fly and giving a young man with no money a bar of gold that he pulled out from the poor man's own hat. Unfortunately, it is time for one of us to go, the Top Hat Man said as he snapped his fingers. Peeves appeared on stage. To his bewilderment, before he could protest, the Top Hat Man placed a blanket on top of him. Suddenly, Peeves saw nothing, but he could still hear the crowd cheer. The world felt cold, and there was a sound of music, talking, and conversation. Somehow he could tell the play had started. I'm sorry to do this to you, but you left me no choice, the man in the top hat said as he pulled off the blanket. You were harassing my clients, my audience, but most importantly, my performers. I even gave you a warning and you still continued. I know you, Peeves. I know you've been harassing people for far too long. I tried giving you a chance, but you didn't listen, and now something truly awful will happen to you. You might want to look down. Peeves looked down and saw that he was no longer human. His skin turned to scales, his hands into claws, and he had become a dragon. Peeves tried to say something, but nothing came out but fire. The Top Hat Man gave a crooked smile. He snapped his fingers. Peeves was now on stage, fighting against a knight. He tried to talk, but all that came out was fire. He did his best, and was successful at dodging the first few strikes, but unfortunately for him, one piece of his heart, he fell. The last thing he saw was a crowd laughing at him. Peeves woke up in bed. Thank heavens, it must have been a dream, he thought, until he noticed that he was in the hospital next to a bunch of other patients. He looked down and saw that there was a wound around his heart. Next to him was a message. Against my better judgment, I decided to give you another chance, due to the fact that you are young. Don't repeat the same mistake. Otherwise, something truly awful will happen to you again. See you on my next show. Okay.